Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Kylie and we're gonna do a November and October wrap up. But guys, I read too many books so I can't do the traditional wrap up. Like, I just can't. It's just gonna be talking for like 2 hours about all the books. Like, I just can't. So what we're gonna do is, I have a couple of different, I've categorized the books, and then I'm gonna tell you like my favorite to my least favorite and basically rank them. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the different ones, or like why I ranked them that way. And then as I'm talking, I will link in the cards the vlogs throughout this month, because I vlogged this month. So if you want to see my detailed thoughts on all the November books, then check out the vlogs. I can't help you with the October books, but maybe I'll talk about them a little bit more then. If anyone remembers my trying to beat my Goodreads challenge TBR, there was 30 some books in my TBR. Okay, so I read 24 books in November. Most of them were off of that TBR. A couple of them weren't. 24. Just saying. Did I say it? 24. Did you hear me? Did everyone hear me? That it's my best reading month for the year, for sure. Absolutely, hands down. So yeah, okay, let's go with the graphic novels and mangas. All of the graphic novels and mangas were from my library, so I have returned all of them. They all needed to go back. Some of them I didn't get back in time, and I got charged late fees. Okay, but I read 11 graphic novels / manga. I'm looking down because my list, I have everything written in my notebook. Okay, so I'm going to put the pictures up here. I read, in no particular order, this is not in any order. I read Death Note, book 1. I read Orange, book 1. I read A Silent Voice, volume 1. Your Name, volume 1. I read Grimoire Noir, which is a standalone. I read Wires and Nerve, volume 1 and 2. I read the 100 Nights of Hero, which is a standalone. I read Saga Volume 1, I read Dear Woman, and I read Heart in a Box, which is a standalone. Okay, so this is what I just want to say, general thoughts on reading manga and graphic novels, okay? I don't normally read manga and graphic novels a lot. So, but what I did notice, like my feelings when I was preparing this, is that I enjoy the art style of mangas much more than any of the graphic novels that I read. In fact, most of the graphic novels, I actually didn't like the art style at all. But although I prefer the art style of manga, I found all of the stories, like the actual plot content of the stories of the manga, to all be very average. None of the manga's stories really wowed me. Yeah, they were all very just like middle ground. A few of them I'm going to keep reading. I understand that like one volume of a graphic novel is really more along the lines of 2 or 3 chapters of like a regular story, like we need to keep reading. So I am keeping that in mind, but on the same page, like the graphic novels, some of them that I read that were standalones, they're standalones. You got the whole story from start to finish, and they were just as short as manga, and they were excellent. So that's kind of my feelings. So I don't really know. Like I mean, the art style is kind of half the point of the graphic novels, right? And so if I don't like the art style, maybe I should read manga, but with manga, I'm not really liking the stories. So So I don't really know. Okay, but let's just rank them. Okay. My favorite read this month of the mangas and graphic novels was The 100 Nights of Hero. This was by far the best. This is like a favorite. I kind of want to buy it, but I'm kind of scared to look at how much it costs because it's massive. It's a very large book. It was really good. Really good. It's a queer story. It's kind of historical fiction, but also like mythological fantasy, kind of a little bit, I guess. Creation fantasy. Yeah, there's definitely some fantasy elements to it, and also some like historical fiction-y type of elements to it. Did I say it was queer? It's queer. It's feminist. It's really good. Number 2, Heart in a Box. This is very short. It has only 7 chapters, and it was super cute. It was kind of gory. It was kind of sci-fi, kind of fantasy. The girl has a heartbreak at the beginning, and she basically like out loud wishes that she didn't have her heart. And then a guy like poof pops up into the air beside her and is like, okay, like you don't want your heart, like here, sign here. And then he takes her heart. And then obviously she decides she needs it. And so she has to go collecting the pieces of her heart, and it's really cute, and I liked it. Number 3, I lumped these two together as one, Wires and Nerve, Volume 1 and 2. Super hated the art style, but these are continuation of the Lunar Chronicles, which, like, I love the overarching story. These are characters that I already know and love. So I like the story. I think I like the second volume more than the first volume, but whether or not that's because I was used to the art style and it didn't bother me as much. It still bothers me. I just really don't like how everything's drawn, but what can you do? Okay, number 4, Your Name. This is like a short little 1 volume of a manga, which is apparently based on a movie. I didn't know. Like, I feel like the movie came first when I found that somewhere. This is like possibly a trans story. We'll see. I got volume 2. It's over there. I gotta read it. And it's like the girl is like out loud like wishing that she could be a boy and live in Tokyo and basically have the opposite life that she has. And then it happens. Like, she wakes up and she's in the body of a boy, and his spirit, I guess, is in her body. And it's like kind of random. Like, they can't predict like which days they're going to wake up in their own bodies and which days they're going to not. And yeah. So, that was good. I liked it. That was number 4. Number 5 was Death Note. Death Note is very popular, so I'm just not going to talk about it. But number 5, I thought the story was average. Didn't like aspects of it, but I did get the second book to see where it goes. Number 6, Grimoire Noir, was a standalone graphic novel with witches. Yeah. With witches and like a mystery missing child element. Number 7, Orange. Again, everyone talks about Orange. I don't think I need to talk about it anymore, but I wasn't wowed by it, but I am going to keep reading and see if I like it as the story goes on. Number 8 was Dear Woman, which is a comic anthology written by Indigenous women. I didn't really like lots of the art styles. It's an anthology, so it's kind of like a short story collection, but it was all like comics. And so that's like really hard because like every story was only like 4 or 5 pages long. And yeah, there was some of them that I liked. There was some of them that I didn't like. There was some of them that I didn't really like get or like understand. So yeah, I don't think I've ever come across like a short story collection of any type that people rate really highly, because there's always going to be like one or two stories that like don't resonate with you. So, okay. Dear Woman was number 8. Saga, number 9. Super not wowed by Saga Volume 1. And I'm not really interested in continuing either. I didn't bother with the second one. Sorry. Number 10, the last one on this list. I super hated Volume 1 of A Silent Voice. This is the one I talked about. I'm going to link in the cards that vlog where I talked about it. But it's bullying, and the whole volume is bullying. But when you read on Goodreads, the synopsis tells that like the characters involved in the bullying reconnect after like 6 years or 8 years or however many years. And so I'm interested in that reconnection, in finding out what happens there. So I did pick up the second volume. But if it's not great, I'm not going to keep going. I think I saw that there's like 7 or 8 volumes. Okay, my next list is middle grades. I was reading middle grades for Believeathon, but one of these, 2 of these actually also fit in my Indigathon TBR. So I read 6 middle grades altogether. So number 1, my favorite middle grade, when I talked about it in my vlog, I said like the ending shook me. I was not expecting it. I wanted to throw the book across the room, but it was still so good. Walk to Moons by Sharon Creech. So good. Okay. Number 2, Frostheart by Jamie Littler. Frostheart was really good. The ending didn't go where I wanted it to go. It certainly wasn't perfect. I think I would only give it... I would not give it, it's not a 5-star for me. It's only like a 3.5 or a 4-star. But I think I would read the sequel and see where it goes. It's an adventure story. It's fantasy. The boy has singing powers. Then number 3, The Breadwinner by Deborah Ellis. The Breadwinner is a story of a little girl from Afghanistan during the time of the Taliban. And it was a very good, but it had a non-ending. Like, I felt like they can take, like the book, it's very short, like less than 200 pages. And I felt like easily the book that is a sequel to it, which I got because I am going to read it, could have easily, why couldn't they have just been put together in it? And it was just one book. The ending was not an ending. It was like, oh, what? Yeah. So there's that one. Number 4, Steph Soto, Taco Queen. I really liked this one. Yeah, I liked it. It's a contemporary. It's kind of a family story. It's Latinx. There was nothing wrong with it. I liked it. It was 4, but I prefer like fantasy and well, I can't even say that Walk Two Moons and The Breadwinner are like higher on the list, but they were just really more impactful stories just in general. But Steph Soto, Taco Queen is still a solid book, a really good book, but just hit number 4 on my list. The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. Yeah, like it's a Riordan. It's a good. It's got everything there. I don't know. It just didn't wow me. As much as some of these other ones that I liked. I love the like mythology stuff. I liked the characters. Yeah, it just wasn't, it was a little bit predictable. And some of it is really like unbelievable, and you can definitely see where things happen, and you just have to like suspend your belief because it's like, well, how could they have traveled that distance in that amount of time? Like, yeah. But anyways, okay. And then the last one on my list, which I'm disappointed that I guess I didn't rate it higher. It's not a bad book, but I'm only rating 6 books. So, I mean, but A Boy Called Christmas by Matt Haig. This wasn't what I was expecting out of this story, out of a Christmassy story. I didn't really think that it had like the heartwarming feel of a Christmas story, that a story about like how Santa Claus became Santa Claus like should be. Yeah. So, okay, those are my middle grades, and that's how I rated them. My Indigathon, these are all, my Indigathon adult novels. I'm questioning if The Grief Keeper is like an adult. This one is, there's only 4 on this list, but they were hard to rate because 3 of them I gave 5 stars. 2 of them are new favorites, and the other one I just gave 4 stars. So it's like it wasn't bad at all, but it's like at the bottom of the list. So the first one, absolute new favorite. I loved it, loved it, loved it. I'm going to be talking about it forever until you all read it. Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. So good. I loved it so much. It's like historical fiction, but it's also like Mayan mythology. It's like there's some romance. The one thing about this book, there is a very serious like trigger warning at the end of the book, and like personally, like I didn't see it coming. But it's a major spoiler. And if you've watched my vlogs, I'm sorry, but I felt like it was important that I talk about it for people who are triggered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it without details in the description what the trigger warning is in the description of this video. So if you are triggered by things and you need to know, then click through the description and I'll have it in there. And if that is something that triggers you, but you need like more details to see if you can still read the book or not, then just watch the vlog. I'll put it here right now, the vlog where I talk about it in, or you can DM me on Twitter and I will tell you, or message me on Goodreads or whatever, and I will tell you the details of like, what happened. Okay. But other than that did shake me a little bit, what happened there at the end, but it was really good. I loved it. It's my new favorite. I listened to an audiobook. I love the audiobook. Oh my gosh. Excuse me. Okay. Number 2, Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse. This, again, amazing. So good. It's a series. The next one's already out. Came out in April. I'm going to get it. I am basically running for it. It's so good. It's a little gory, but it's awesome. It's about this girl. She's a monster hunter. Yeah. And it's got like native deities that are involved. And so I love like it's kind of mythology too, and I love mythology, and it's like a dystopian look at the future. Like there's been a big flood, and there's monsters and that need hunting, and she is a monster hunter, and some of the native people have powers based on like what clan they're originally from. It's really cool. You should read it. It's really cool. Then number 3, The Break by Katharina Vermette. This was like a really intense, emotional read. Yes, it was there are a lot of trigger warnings for this book. I posted them all in the vlog in the description of the vlog where I talked about it. Brody posted them on the Indigathon Twitter, like, because it was the group book for Indigathon. So many trigger warnings. It was really intense. But it was it was really good. It was really well done. Check it out. The Grief Keeper by Alexandra Villasante is number 4 on this list. And the last one on this list. There was nothing wrong with The Grief Keeper. It was a great book. I gave it 4 stars. It was just I like the other ones better. So, okay, so the next list has some books that I read in October and some books that I read in November. So these are going to be my romance reads and how I rank them. So my number one romance that I read this one in October on ebook, is called Pucked Off by Helena Hunting. It's part of a series that starts with Pucked, and they are smutty romances based around like the Chicago NHL hockey team. And so all the players, all the boys that are in the books play on the Chicago NHL hockey team. Each of the books is following a different couple, a different guy from the hockey team and their romance. So my favorite is this one called Pucked Off, and it follows Lance, and it's like number, oh gosh, it's like number 4 or 5, so you don't get to it until like later, but they can all be read as standalones. Like, you don't need to read the other ones in order to read the other ones, you know what I mean? Okay, so that one's number 1. Then number 2, I just read this last week, Merry Inkmas by Talia Hibbert. So good. The female character is a black plus size. The male character owns like a tattoo shop, and I think he's a redhead. And they're both like damaged and yeah. It was so good. Then number 3 was Pucked Under, so it's another Pucked, and this one follows Randy and Lily. There's another book that follows Randy and Lily. So this is like the second one that follows them after they've been together. And yeah, Randy has problems like with his dad, and in this one his dad shows up and they have to like set him straight. So that was number 3. Number 4 was, oh shoot, who wrote this one? The V Card. I think Lauren Blakely. I think that's who this one was. The V Card. Okay, so in this one, the female, her brother passed away, and he was older than her, and it's his best friend who is the male character. Okay, so they knew each other for a long time like that. And she was like a grown woman adult, and she's still a virgin. And he is kind of promiscuous. And she asks him to teach her and to basically take her virginity because she doesn't want it anymore. And yeah, that happens. It was good. Number 4. Number 5 is Pucked Love. This one follows Darren and Charlene. This is the most questionable one. This is the one that I mean, I like them all. And I liked learning about Darren and Charlene's, like, their backstories. But, like, it's definitely the weirdest relationship, like, for me. I feel like they're kind of BDSM, but kind of not. And they both kind of had like really weird like family situations growing up, and their situations are super like unrelatable. Like, no one in my life or anyone that I've even ever heard of has had the things happen to them that happened to them. So there's that. And then for number 6, I ranked these two as a tie. Okay, so then the first one was a novella called Get Inked. It's by Helena Hunting as well. Helena Hunting has like multiple romance series. Okay, so one of her series is about like tattoo artists and stuff. I feel like lots of romances center around tattoo artists. I don't know why. And then her other one is Pucked. And so this Get Inked is like the hockey players are getting tattoos from the tattoo people in her other books. So I think what she's trying to do with like these novellas is get people who were fans of one of the series to try out the other series. You know what I mean? So it was like all right, but like I'm not interested in trying out that other series. Like piercings and things, like they're not, it's not my thing. And then tied for last is also a book that I picked up because it was supposed to be, it's the December read for Chandler Ainsley's monthly book club, which is supposed to be a smutty romance book club. I was excited because it was going to be like a Christmassy smutty romance. And they didn't even kiss the whole time. Okay, it's called, did I tell you what it's called? It's called Dear Santa, but it's also called A Christmas Shop. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was published under one name, and then later it was like published under a different name. So I don't know why they did that, but it's a romance, but it's like a soft romance. Like it's a traditional romance. The characters at the 80% mark had only talked to each other like 4 or 5 times. And it was a hate to love, so there's that. That was done well. But they didn't even kiss each other, like in the whole book. Like at the end when they're telling each other that they love each other, as romance books always end, they just hugged. So that's sweet. Okay, that's the romance books. By the way, like romance is easily like my highest rated books always. I am trash for romance. So like even though some of these books like I say that I liked better than the others, like I don't think I gave anything 3 stars. I think they're all rated 4 or 5 stars because I am trash for romance. So okay, and then other books that I read that don't fit into these categories. In October I read Gideon the Ninth and super hated it. Super hated it. Just throwing that out there. Don't bother with that one. The plot is so... You can't even follow it. You don't know what's going on. It's supposed to be science fiction, so they're using a lot of big words and science terms to try to act smart. But, like, it's not coming through to the reader. The reader is not, like... I don't know. I mean, maybe if you're, like, a chemist or a physicist or whatever, you can get what they're talking about. But, like... Not me. The world building was like questionable. And so basically the whole story was riding on the main character and like her snarkiness. And that was okay for about like the first half, but then the plot got even more confusing and the magic system got even more confusing, and 1 star. So that's at the bottom of that list. Then I started God's Grave in October and I finished it in November. God's Grave is amazing. The Nevernight Chronicles are amazing. I'm reading Dark Dawn right now. It's awesome. 5 stars. You need to read it. I can't really talk about it. It's the second in a series, so I can't really say anything. In October, I binged on audiobook the entire Shadow and Bone series. And I haven't really talked about that at all on my channel. I was planning a dedicated review video and then I lost all motivation to film in October, like right before I went on holiday. So I didn't talk about it. But I really liked the series. Like I gave it like 4 stars across the board. I couldn't really pick which book I liked more than the others because they all have a lot of like really similar elements to them. Like there's across the 3-book series, there's a lot of traveling in every single book. I feel like in every single book, the main character has like a crazy like aha moment where she like figures shit out suddenly and is able to do things that she didn't realize she could do before. The romance just in general is really frustrating. And not really anything to write home about. Like if you're gonna read a book for romance, it's... I'm sorry about that. Someone tried to video chat me. It was not... I didn't really think there was anything wrong with it, but the romance really did frustrate me like a lot while I was reading it. So there was that. But I thought that the ending was really different. And I really liked it. I liked how the series ended. And I thought that how they did the villain was different as well. You know, he was more like well-rounded than your standard, you know, evil character who doesn't really get much of a backstory, they're just like the bad guy, you know? So, yeah. So obviously my favorite out of those is God's Grave with the Shadow and Bone series in the middle and Gideon the Ninth way at the bottom underneath everything. Yeah, so those are all my October and November reads. Yeah, I guess let me know if you agree or disagree with me. If you're a graphic novel and manga reader, if you could just think about, I guess, the ones that, or the things that I said that I liked and didn't like, or the ones that I said that I liked. And if you have recommendations for me, I will please take them. And yeah, okay, so I think that's all I have for you today. And so I'll see you again next time. Bye.